Welcome back to the channel, guys. It is me, 8744. So with the AFCON and Asian Cup coming around in a few days' time, I want to make this video about why I do feel like Japan or Morocco are getting too much hype for the respective tournaments. Because when I did a poll on my YouTube community, I asked the viewers to vote for who they think is going to win, and majority of people have picked both Morocco and Japan respectively. And I respect it. You know, they're probably the best nations and their continents respectively. But are we forgetting the fact this is a tournament? The tournaments don't go as we expect, right? Anything can happen in these kind of tournaments. And expect the unexpected, right? Now, I do feel like Japan have a better chance to win the Asian Cup than Morocco, for instance, with AFCON, because let's just put it this way. Japan, obviously, the competitive field in Africa is a lot more competitive than Asia. Let's keep it a stack. So, I just want to do this video while I do think they're getting a bit overhyped. So, I'm going to start first with Morocco. Morocco, for me, is a good nation. They're a very good nation. I like this nation, what they did. And I think a lot of the reason why people are putting so much hype and so much stock into them is because of what they did in the last World Cup, when they made it all the way to the semifinals, becoming the first African nation to do so. And while that is a tremendous achievement in itself, and it's an incredible achievement, it's only one tournament. Alright? And remember, Morocco don't have a good record in the Africa Cup of Nations. I believe the last time they won was 1976. They haven't been great. In the last couple of editions, they went out to teams they shouldn't be. For example, the last edition, they lost to Egypt in the quarterfinals. And with all due respect, they should be beating Egypt, because that Egypt team was very, very average. They were very defensive and had to rely on penalties to bail them through against the likes of Cameroon, against the likes of Ivory Coast, and almost did against Senegal. So, and for me, that Morocco team that we saw in the AFCON and this World Cup is pretty much the same. Now, obviously, the big difference is the manager. Walid Regragui wasn't there at the time. It was, I believe, Vahid. It was a Bosnian coach, I believe. And so, obviously, the coach does have a big difference. But in terms of player squad, in terms of squad and everything, Morocco, it was the same team, basically, you know? And then remember the 2019 edition. I'm just going to look back to the last two editions. 2019, they lost to, I think was it, I forgot which team they lost to. They lost to one team. Oh, Benin, yes. Benin in the round of 16 Africa Cup of Nations on penalties. So you see where I'm coming at, right? For Morocco, in the sense that, okay, they're a good team, but is it really that amazing? Because, remember guys, what made Morocco so good in the World Cup was the fact they were so good defensively. Defensively, they were stalwarts. They were excellent defensively. Defensively, they were very good. They were very resolute at the back, were able to keep clean sheets, and were able to frustrate their opponents. Because their attack wasn't really that great, if we keep it a stack. Like, the only real attacker that was consistent for them, I would probably say, was En-Nesyri. And En-Nesyri, as good as he is, he alone isn't enough to, like, bring you the goals in every game, right? And remember, En-Nesyri only really came clutch for me in the World Cup, was really only against Portugal. Spain, he wasn't really that effective. Canada, of course, he was good. Actually, did he? I don't think he scored against Canada. I don't think he did. He did score. I'm pretty sure he scored. He might have scored against Belgium. I know he didn't score against Croatia. So the thing what I'm trying to say here with this Morocco team is that their attack isn't really that prolific. But what makes them so good is defensively they're amazing. Defensively they're very, very good. And I respect it. Defensive football is very key. Right? But when you look at the other African nations, the likes of Nigeria, the likes of Ivory Coast, maybe even Cameroon, I would argue they have a better attack than Morocco. But the difference is that Morocco probably have a better defense than those three nations. So I do feel like Morocco is getting a bit too much hype, you know. And like I said before, guys, people are not taking into account their AFCON history. People are only just looking at recency bias of the World Cup. And I understand the World Cup is a huge event, obviously. But remember, guys, the Africa Cup of Nations World Cup is completely different. It isn't the same thing. You know, and remember, guys, a lot of Moroccan fans showed up in their numbers in the World Cup. I don't think the fans will have that huge impact. Is going to give that kind of profound impact like they did in the World Cup for Morocco and the Africa Cup of Nations. So I just want to say that. Now I still think they'll do well in the tournament. I still think they're gonna like get to like I would say minimum quarterfinals. They should be able to make the quarterfinals with the bare minimum, but I wouldn't necessarily say they're gonna win it. In fact, I had them to lose the final to Ivory Coast. And if you guys saw my original predictions video. Now we move on to Japan. See, when it comes to Japan, for me, they're also another nation that a lot of people are hyping up. And don't get me wrong, Japan is a very good nation. I respect Japan. I love Japan. They're a very, very nice nation. They're very civil. They're very respectful. And when it comes to the atmosphere, it's amazing. And I definitely want to go to Japan in the future at some point in my life. And definitely Morocco as well at some point in my life. But my issue with Japan is that as good as they have they really been challenged? Because I'm looking at the playing field in Asia, and they're hands down the top two in Asia. I think we can all agree. Like, in terms of talent, factory is insane. The squad that they brought, the squad that they have is unbelievable. But we got to keep in mind, Japan haven't won the last two editions of the Asian Cup. They lost in 2019, and of course they didn't win in 2015. I think 2019 they got knocked out in the final against Qatar, and then I think 2015 they got knocked out in the quarterfinals by UAE. They last won in 2011. It's been 13 years since they have won it, right? And for me, when it comes to the other teams, the only other team that could stop Japan, in my opinion, to win the Asian Cup is South Korea, because South Korea for me is very special. I like South Korea a lot. I think because when you compare Japan and South Korea, I do feel like when it comes to the talent, I think Japan are probably more organized as a team. I think South Korea, though, have the better individuals. Like, I think Wang Yi-chan and Son are very good players, Kim and Jae. Japan, they also good players, too. Don't get me wrong. Mitoma is amazing. Kamada is amazing, and these kind of players. But I feel like when you compare the two, I think South Korea players are more difference makers. I feel like Son's a huge difference maker. I feel like Kim and Jae is made more of a difference. See, because my thing is that I feel like Son and Kim and Jae play a huge role for both Tottenham and Bayern Munich. Mitoma, Kamada, Minamino, I don't think have the same kind of impact on their clubs as Son and Kim and Jae do. Now, obviously, they're amazing players. I'm not trying to say they're not amazing players. Of course, they're fantastic players. That's obvious. But to say that they're the same is, just different. So, like I said before, guys, Japan is the most successful nation in Asian Cup history. They're the most successful nation. So, I do think they have earned the right, this kind of right. But I do feel like casual fans are just saying that Japan's the only good nation and everyone else is crap. That I feel like is extremely disrespectful to South Korea. And even to like the lesser extents like Australia, Iran, these kind of nations, because they're just as good. Now, obviously, when it comes to winning the Asian Cup, for me, it's only two nations. There's only Japan and South Korea that can win this. I don't see any other nation that could win this, because I'm looking at the other teams. Australia, for me, just don't have enough quality, in my opinion, to win. Iran, for me, as good as they are, I do feel like this team isn't that balanced, in my opinion. I don't think they're that great defensively. And Saudi Arabia, I'm just not really convinced with Saudi, to be honest with you. I feel like they've kind of regressed ever since they beat Argentina in the World Cup encounter. And I'm not really sure if Mancini is really that guy, supposedly. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, guys. But I really want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, guys. And so for members and here in particular, please let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think Japan and Morocco are getting too much hype, or is it deserved? So to summarize for you guys, I think Morocco is getting very, very hyped. I think they're getting way too much hype. Japan, I do think they're getting a bit too much hype, but I think Japan have earned it, to be fair. So I can understand Japan more, but Morocco I feel like is too much. It's too much. So I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Please remember to share me your thoughts. And like I said, guys, we'll be doing this on a weekly basis. Peace out, guys.